I was denied a job because of my credit score, and I wanted to build wealth. I would mess my own credit score up just to then rebuild and refine the strategies.
Welcome to Entrepreneur. Guys, you just don't understand. I'm here today with Brittany Greene from Crown Financial. She's a queen, baby. She's making it happen. She's changing things on the college level for kids to come out with a 700 plus credit score. Oh, y'all didn't hear me. She's changing things for people to come out of college with a 700 plus credit score. What I want you to do is lock in. Because if you're a college student and you want to come out and be prepared to build wealth in your life, then this is the interview you should be listening to. Thank you so much, Brittany, for being here. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. This is a true honor and a privilege, and I am so excited.
Are you excited?
I am excited.
Okay, well, I'm more excited then. So tell me. When's your birthday, Brittany?
May 15th, 1993.
Okay, May 15th. A Taurus in the house.
Ow, ow.
So do you have the Taurian qualities, or is that,
Absolutely. No, all the way. I am a true foodie. Everything they say about us and food and coziness, that is me. I got my sandwiches in the bag just because I like extra snacks.
Okay.
But I am also that go-getter. I am diligent. I am focused and absolutely bullheaded. And I think it works for this mission that I'm on.
I receive it. My next question is, if someone came up to you and said, who are you, Brittany Greene? How would you describe yourself?
In simple terms, I would say I am an ethereal goddess. Everything walking elegance, driven, and authentic. That's how I would describe myself for someone who is just meeting me. And I think they would feel that vibe before they even hear me speak. I think they would say, oh, it's just something about her. Because I get that a lot. She walks into the room and it's just like, who is she? She just walks in smiling or dancing, because if it's music, I'm definitely dancing. So they would get that authentic, loving, cozy vibe immediately.
Okay. And that's an ethereal
goddess.
Okay. I receive it 1,000,000%. All right. We all should feel that way about ourselves. Absolutely, right?
Absolutely.
I get it. So, Crown Financial. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. How did you decide on the name first and foremost?
Because I feel like everyone should look at themselves in a royal light. I think that, especially as a society, we've been conditioned to believe we are less than, to not boast on ourselves too much or not think too highly of ourselves. And it shows and it reflects in our finances, in our confidence, in the way that we show up. And when I was creating the company, it was at a low point in my life based on what it was that I was experiencing, because of course I got started in my journey because I was denied a job because of my credit score, and I wanted to build wealth, but I just didn't know how. I said, well, I can't look at where I am. I have to look at where I want to be. And if that is in a royal light, I have to put that out there. So let me fix my crown. And one thing about me, I'm known for my crowns, either headpieces that I wear right now. I'm in the Christmas spirit, so I have my Christmas crown on, right? But I've always had either big hair, long hair. So, and I don't like to call it hair. I like to say my crown. So I always like to correct my crown or fix my crown. And that includes my internal environment whenever I'm not feeling the best, right? Adjust my crown. So when it came down to someone's money, I wanted them to feel, hey, about your financials, it's more than just the physical currency. You have a mental, you have an emotional currency that ties into that, and it all should be royal. So that's how I kind of came up with the name.
I receive it. Can you share a story that, would focus on coaching college students about credit and financial literacy?
Absolutely. In what regard? Because I want to make sure I'm tailoring it.
So in regard to, first and foremost, when you put the program together, mm-hmm. right? How did you focus that in terms of why? I know you decided college students because of your experience, mm-hmm. But for them to be able to receive it, like colleges don't offer. That's not even something we talk about. They just use the card as most of these Fortune 500 use colleges as the marketing place
Yep.
to get the young kids to, but they have no concept of what they're getting themselves into. So this is a story that a lot of college students have experienced. So what do you do when you walk in the doors and offer a college what you have to offer at Crown Financial?
So, and it really starts with getting the students involved. So I go to organizations like NACA, the National Association for Campus Activities, or NAPCA, which is another organization for campus activities as well. And I hear the students out. My biggest thing is I want to connect with the students, so I look for what their struggles are. Of course, I'm a college student as well, currently in my doctoral program. So I understand what it's like to try to juggle your personal life with your academic life. So bringing in and bridging all of those things together and having my students advocate for me to the officials who are making the decisions, because it just makes it that much easier, because they're like, no, we want her because she connects well with us. She looks like us and she connects with us because she hears what it is that we're going through. She's also going through it herself. So that's one way that I bridge that gap to connect with them. But when it comes to, and of course, I see officials at different events and things like that, and they connect with me there, and they're like, oh, we heard you speak and we want to bring you in. But when it came down to catering that program to the students, I had to become a product of the product. So as a student, what were some of the things that I was facing? And that's how I built the curriculum. And what was the easiest way for me to be able to apply these methodologies with a busy schedule and a tight budget? Because I'm doing this as a full-time business owner. So it was hectic in itself, because of course we know how entrepreneurship goes.
Absolutely.
So having and tailoring these strategies, I would test things out on myself. I would mess my own credit score up just to then rebuild and refine the strategies, because again, I'm working with students who may have a tight budget and a busy schedule. How can I appeal to them? TikTok has been an amazing thing. I make all my TikToks. As you can see, we getting our B-rolls and things like that. But keeping that fun edge about me is what really catches the eye of the folks who are the decision makers to bring me in, and the students who will be receiving the information. So everything is really tailored to the success of them by being one of them.
I love the fact that you go from the inside out, right? Because that's so important in everything in life. People just miss the point that if you start where people are, in not just, hey, make me a part of this, right? No, you go in, you say, hey, these are what the students need. I've worked with them. They told me you did your market study right on the college campus. I received that. That's cool. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that college students have about credit?
I will say this. A lot of students are getting extremely smart these days.
Okay.
So a lot of the misconceptions are leaving. But some of the main ones that I still see to this day is that it's difficult to build. It'll take a long time to build, or I don't have enough money to build. That one is probably one of the biggest ones, because a lot of students don't know you can build credit with just about $2 to $5 a month. So if you have $2 to $5 a month that's coming in from either your refund check or, from a work study position that you have on campus, you can start building credit with just something that, that simple. We've helped students get a 700 plus credit score, walk across the stage with excellent credit, just based on $5 to $10 a month max. So those are some of the big misconceptions that I've seen. Or that, I don't need to build college credit right now. I don't need it until after I graduate. No, you might need it when you graduate, especially if you're looking to gain employment. I will say one thing that I found out in 2017 was that employers are checking about 42 to 50% are checking your credit to make a hiring decision. So depending on where you're looking to go in your career, that may be a thing. And it's not just at financial institutions, right? Something else that I've seen is for folks who want to have a business right outside of college. A lot of times we lean on our own personal credit to build up a business. That's what I did when I first got started, or as things got tough as an entrepreneur. Relied on that before I could get into business credit. Well, you need to have your personal credit in order if you want to have better opportunities. It's not, not required, but in many instances, they are going to look at your personal credit to make a business decision on if they want to grant you that funding. So it's one of those are some of the misconceptions that we'll see with students to say, I don't really need it right now, or maybe I can wait until after I graduate. You want to do it beforehand, before those big girl and big boy bills start kicking in and you can't really focus in those areas.
So I'm a college student. I'm a junior. I'm preparing to get out next year. But I have a limited budget. You said it's $2 to $10. Tell
Yep.
me what you would tell me to do in order
Yeah.
to build my credit
Absolutely.
on a
So
limited budget.
first things first is I have to get them in the mindset, right? You got to see it before you get there.
Okay.
So you got to have those affirmations. We do credit affirmations because, again, the road can get tough. It can get a little frustrating, especially as you're trying to have everything and balance everything as a student. So the first thing first is mindset, non-negotiable.
Got it.
The second thing I would tell them to do is you need to see where you are from a report standpoint. Because one thing that I ran into with college students sometimes is that their parents have used their name in different bills. So sometimes they have negative items on their report that need to be addressed. So we want to see where we're starting from so that we know where we're going. So I would tell them to sign up for Credit Karma and Experian.com. I'm not sponsored by either one, but I just like the fact that you get free reports, either your free FICO scores from Experian.com and your free Vantage scores from Credit Karma. Both scores are equally important. I know sometimes they say, oh, Credit Karma is fake. Don't listen to them. You need to know your Vantage scores. It's just kind of different reporting systems. So I would tell them to see where they are. The next thing is, once they've seen where they are, is to educate themselves on the basics of credit scores. So how is the report made? What are the components that, and this is if they aren't necessarily working with me directly. If you're working with me directly, I'm going to take you through the curriculum, right?
Okay.
I'm going to give you the nitty gritty of how to navigate through Credit Karma, how to navigate through Experian.com, how to understand your credit score and what you're seeing, so that as we begin applying the strategies, then we know what, it makes sense for them. But for the instance that they're not working with me, or they don't have the budget, the school doesn't have the budget to bring me in, I will tell them to go to my YouTube channel, where I break down different credit concepts in a very, very simple way, the basics of what they need to know, because they have to get those things in order. Then, if all is clear, no negative items or anything like that on their report, I would have them start with some starter accounts. Some starter accounts is like Kickoff. Kickoff is like a credit line where they have digital products that you can purchase in from, or they have a line of credit there where it'll be like, a $60 balance on the credit line, and you just have to pay $2 or $5 a month on that particular account. But what happens is, every single time that you make your $2 or your $5 payment to that account, they report it to the credit agencies, and you'll just basically be paying off that $60 balance. And you can use some of their digital products and things like that they have. So that's one of the lower end accounts that they're able to get started with, that reports to the bureaus, that gets them those points and gets their score moving and starts to take care of different aspects of the credit, like payment history, credit card utilization, their credit mix, having a good, because a lot of students have student loans. So now that's one type of account. So now when you add on like a line of credit, you start to balance out the types of accounts. So it really starts to kind of building out their file with just $2 to $5 a month. And then of course we have accounts like Self-Lender that they can do if they have a higher budget, like such as like $25 a month, or even, secured credit cards. If their credit score is in a healthy space, they may not even need to get secured credit cards. They can get credit, regular credit lines. So it just kind of depends on where they are. But what we do in our curriculum is we have a color-coded system that shows them, hey, when you go on your Credit Karma, you go on your Experian report, you see these colors, right? Match up this strategy with this particular color, and that'll be your particular strategy that you need, because everyone's file is different. So we want to make sure that we're customizing it to what their strategy is. So we just kind of show them along those ropes of, hey, connect these color coded systems, and now you have your strategy. And anytime there's a change on your credit report, come back, do that same color coded system according to whatever that strategy is that you need at that time.
So I have two questions.
Yeah.
One, what's my Vantage Point versus my FICO?
That's a good question. So 90% of lenders, which is the folks who you'll either be getting a mortgage, a car, or credit cards through, they make a decision based on either one of those reports. 90% of the lenders look at your FICO scores because that's the oldest model. That's the one that everyone knows about. But the issue is that most of your FICO scores you have to pay for to see. That's why I recommended Experian.com, because that one is free. But your Vantage scores are the ones that are most likely on your banking apps that they show you your credit score on the free sites. Those are the ones that are shown or used by 10% of lenders. Now, while this is not widely used by, lenders, it is 10% is still a big number if you're counting in the millions of lenders that are out there, right? But to kind of nitpick of who looks at what, most of them are looking at your FICO. So that's why you want to look at, of course, have both of them handy, and you want to develop a strategy to harmonize both scores. The reason being is because the difference between those scores is just a percentage of how they calculate different things on your file. Mm-hmm. So, for example, where on FICO, your payment history makes up 35% of your score. On Vantage, it may only make up around 32%. So there's just a difference in calculation. And if you have extremely high credit card usage, late payments, collection accounts, it'll throw it off balance across both. So within that curriculum, we teach them how to keep a good, happy balance or a good strategy to create harmony so that your scores are in the same area. So, yeah.
So credit scores change every day. Is that correct?
Yes, they can change every day. They typically don't change every single day. It just kind of depends on when the accounts are reporting to the bureaus, and when the bureaus are updating the information and what you're applying for and things like that. But they can change pretty much every day.
As a student, and I need to pay my bills. Mm-hmm. What would you tell me would be ideal time for me to pay my bills?
Oh, that's a really good question. You have to go based on the lender itself. So if you have, like, say, for example, I have Navy Fed. My range of dates is around like the 24th, but Capital One may be the 15th. Or Bank of America may be the 1st. So you have to reach out to the specific lender that you have and find out, hey, these are my due dates, but when is my statement or my reporting date? When do you guys report to the 3 bureaus? That's the kind of universal language that I'll tell folks to ask. So this way you get a range of when you should make those payments. But of course you want to make it on the due date to make sure that it's in and no late fees. But you want to also make sure that it's being reflected on your statement or on your credit report, because some people will say, well, I paid my bill on the 19th, but then I used my credit card on the 20th and it didn't get a chance to update with the credit bureau. So it looks like now you have this high utilization, or it just looks a little funky for your credit card utilization if you're not being cognizant of those dates. So the best thing that I tell folks to do, and that is a part of the strategy, is, hey, you want to reach out to your specific lenders and find out, hey, if my due date is this, and the reporting date / statement date is typically like 4 to 5 days after. But just to confirm so that you know and you're clear, hey, if I make my payment on the 19th, I want to make sure that I don't use it until maybe around the 26th, when I know that they've sent my statement date off, they sent my report off to the bureaus, and it reflects what I want it to show. And now I can then use my account again. So that's how I would definitely tell them to do that.
I receive it. What is my strategy in terms of increasing my limits on my credit cards?
So for everyone, that is a little different. And the only reason why I say that is because of the payment history. If someone has a late payment, you want to make sure that you have at least 6 to 9 months after that late payment of on-time paying. And technically, I would actually suggest some lenders are a little bit more lenient, right? But I would say around maybe 12 to 15 months of on-time payments after that before you want to ask for an increase. Now, if you're someone who has a good payment history, no lates, no dings, no collection accounts, then yours can be as good as every 6 months for some lenders. That would be the strategy. But I tell everyone to have an approval ready type of checklist. So check to make sure that there were no late payments in the last 6 months. Make sure that there were no recent collections in the last 6 months. Look at what your utilization has been over the last 6 to 12 months. Because if they're seeing that you're using a heavy amount of your credit and never paying it down, you're more at a high risk for them. So they'll look at you as desperate for credit. So that one kind of depends on what's going on in your file at the time. But the most important things is no late payments, no recent collections, and then of course keeping your utilization at a fair level, anywhere between like 10 to 20%, reporting every single month.
Do you have a strategy to say, I just got busy, I'm overwhelmed with it's exam time, it's my finals, I need to get and I forget to pay something, and I get a late payment. Do you have a strategy to remove late, or you just...
That one is a tricky one because a lot of the bureaus are cracking down on the payments being late, and I get it. But here's the thing. Most of your late payments don't get reported unless it's 30 days. So let's say, for example, if it's due on the 19th of November, you may not see a late payment. Like if you didn't pay your November 19th bill, then on December 19th, you'll see them now start to report that late payment because you had 30 days to make up for that particular payment. So you typically have some time. My biggest thing is keep everything on auto pay. You have something on a card that, you don't have any extra external bills pulling from, so you don't have to keep it locked. That'll be your specific account for having things come out, and you just make sure that you're depositing money in that account so it can just be on auto pay, so you don't have to worry about those things. Because I'll be honest, the bureaus have been cracking down on late payments. It's not impossible, right? It is possible, but it can be a headache if you or if you even non-intentionally didn't make that payment, or a mistake happened. It tends to not come off in a lot of instances. So my strategy for that is, hey, if you get a late payment, 6 to 9 months, make sure you're on time, making a little bit of extra payments, right? Just so you can have that be okay. But you have at least 30 days before they report a late payment. So it's not just if you missed the payment on November 19th, by November 26th, they're going to report it. No, it's typically around 30 days. So you have some time, some cushion to make some things go.
I receive it. Let's talk a little bit about, you have a signature talk called, is it Credit Boot Camp?
Yes, the Credit Shoot Boot Camp.
So tell me about the Credit Shoot Boot Camp.
Yes. So you remember that curriculum I was telling you about?
Yes.
That's the curriculum.
Okay.
Back in, so I started with families. Our everyday Americans who needed help. And 99% of them said, oh man, I wish I learned this in college. Oh man, I wish I learned this in college. And then the minute I started my journey with the Credit Shoot Boot Camp, they were like, oh, you should put this in high schools. I was like, nah, this isn't a high school type curriculum. I have an applied methodology. So this is something where if you have a credit account, this is what you need to be using. So it's a series-based workshop. And throughout that time, we're using that color-coded system to help them build their own personal strategy. And it's in a fun, interactive way. Everything I do is in a fun, interactive way. So we're talking, we're laughing, we're dancing, we're shooting hoops because it is basketball themed. And it's a good time. It's a party. Okay. It's a party.
Can you play basketball?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, I make a few shots every now and again, but they say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I'm like, just keep throwing. Something's got to go in.
So why theming after basketball?
It was the shoot part. It was the shoot part, and it just made sense. I'm big on themes. I'm big on making some things connect and having some fun with it. And I also understand that you got to keep the students engaged. So if we have a ball in our hand and we're throwing it around and we're talking about credit concepts, it keeps them engaged. I love to make this difficult concept simple and fun. So it was something to keep them engaged. And who doesn't love basketball?
I receive it. So the other one you have is, who gives the FACT about credit? Who gives the fact, FACT, about credit.
Oh man, that one is actually funny because in presentation titles, I use the asterisk. So it looks like who gives the F about
Right.
So that one is fun. But it's an acronym that breaks down the mental concept of credit. So we're breaking down, and it's funny because now that we're moving into the credit shoot boot camp, we don't really, use that one as much anymore. So It's actually, that's why I was laughing, because it's like, hi, you found the age to it. But we started that, and now it's merged into the credit shoot boot camp, because again, we have that mental component that we talk about first, because again, the mental space is a non-negotiable, because the credit journey gets difficult. Sometimes when you're going through that journey, someone gets pregnant, someone's tire busts, there's someone that falls ill, the income changes, and the journey can feel difficult to maintain, or it gets boring to maintain, because it's just the same. Once you get your strategy, you have to just be consistent with the same thing over and over again. So we've kind of merged those into it, but I use that as a fun title to get people in the room, and then we break down the acronym of facts. So I thought that was pretty funny that you were able to find out.
Okay, good. All right. Well, what does the F stand for? What does the A stand for? What does the C stand for? What does the T stand for?
So, man. I actually don't remember.
Okay, no worries.
I actually don't remember. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to have to send you that afterwards, because when we merged everything over, we kind of changed up our entire framework to fit the credit shoot boot camp. That one is actually, and you found it on my website, didn't you?
My apologies.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That just means we got some editing to do, because which we're already doing, because we're taking, that was more so for our adult crowd.
I received it. Yeah,
so
no
that
worries.
was, and now that we've switched everything over to the college students over the last 2 years, our focus has gone there. So I will definitely, because I'm interested to remember. I come up with so many amazing and like unique things. Sometimes I forget about the good stuff. So I'll definitely get the acronym to you, because I'm interested to remember myself.
Give me one of your success stories from one of your students that really touched your heart.
So this one was really near and dear to my heart, because she texted me on her graduation day, which was actually the day before my birthday. And she started off in the 530s. And the day of her graduation, she texted me and she was like, girl, because they're all, we are like a family.
Girl.
She was like, if I hit 800, I'm going to cry. And I was like, she sent me the screenshot. And again, I'm getting ready to attend her graduation, because again, I'm close with all my folks.
Right.
We build a solid community with that. And she started in the 530s, about 4 collections, some student loans, and some high credit card utilization. So from us to transition and take all of those collections, we got all of the collections removed. We got her to pay down $5,000 in her student debt, and she was able to have over a 700 credit score. She went crazy. And just 2 weeks later, she hit a 749. And that was the day before my birthday.
Nice.
I was like, what? Yes. So that was a super exciting story that still lives on to this day.
I receive it. That's very cool. I want to, I'm going to, because ask you some questions about purpose. Okay. First and foremost, are you living in purpose? Do you feel like you're living in purpose?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The minute I started living authentic to myself, my quirky, my fun self, I used to be scared and a little timid. I would always love the stage, but I would, I didn't have the big hair when I first started. I would be in these tight blazers, and I would sit all studious, and I would speak extremely well and wouldn't use my slang and all those things. And I just didn't feel like I was living in purpose, because then I wouldn't attract the type of clients that fit me. And then I started to wear my natural hair when I had the black afro, and this was before I got locks, and I would wear my own natural styles and these just different concepts. And then I got rid of the ugly tight black blazers and started wearing purple and polka dots and all those things. And that led me to start to living in purpose because I felt more authentic to myself and I started to attract those type of clients.
Is purpose an evolving thing for you?
Yes, absolutely. Because I learned something new about myself every 6 months or so. Sometimes a little bit sooner, but every 6 months or so, there's something about me that changes because there's now something new that I want to explore. I don't think, for me personally, I can't say for everyone else, that my purpose will be in one lane because, like I said, I started with families. And I even had the concept of something that came to my mind, one of my first books, A to Z Credit. That was one of my first books. And I just realized the shift of where that purpose was shifting me throughout that time. So I know that it's evolving just because I'm not the same person that I was 6 years ago when I wrote the book. So yeah, I do think it's evolving.
What would you tell someone who's struggling to find their purpose?
Just be. Just be. I think sometimes we get so focused on trying to find what we're supposed to do, our specific audience that we're supposed to inspire. And it's like, well, have you inspired yourself? Have you woke up this morning and faced some of those feelings that you were trying to suppress? Have you gotten up and done some of the things and kept some of the promises that you made to yourself? I think for someone who's struggling to identify those things, it's focus on self-mastery, and that's where you'll see your purpose in situational spaces start to show itself, because you never know what you're supposed to be for someone or when you're supposed to be there for someone else. So stop focusing on trying to be everything for everyone else, because then you're pouring from an empty cup. Focus on self-mastery so that you can pour from your overflow and it feels more authentic.
And in living in purpose, has it made you more grounded?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially over the recent years, I've learned about human design. And I realized, because I burnt out in 2021 and then I turned around and went to school. I don't know what that was about. I don't know what that was about. But I realized at that time, I'm like, I'm burning out. I don't really understand myself. So I started to learn about human design, and that got me into a space of learning my specific energetic makeup and how I'm supposed to show up in working spaces and how I'm supposed to honor my energy. And that helped me kind of bring everything and, bring everything full circle. So yeah, a lot of it boiled down to that human design approach.
For people who don't know, can you break down the human design approach?
Yeah. So it's about a couple different archetypes, and everyone has a different archetype. Of course, in order to find out your human design, you have to know your time of birth, date, of course, birth date, year, and where you were born. It's not like the astrological chart. It's a little bit different. It's more so speaking about your energetic makeup and how you show up to working spaces. So my energetic makeup is, I'm considered a manifester, and not in the essence of, I manifest the greatest or anything. It's not necessarily that as an archetype. It's a archetype of saying, okay, I am a trailblazer, as my honey would call it, someone who I'm here to initiate. I may not be here to be the worker bee, right? I'm here to be the thinker. I might be the brain of the genius of that particular space, where I come up with a concept and then I draw in the other archetypes who may be like manifesting generators, or generators who focus more so on, they get fulfilled by completing tasks and feeling needed, or feeling like their the actions that they're taking is contributing to a greater cause. So I will, connect with folks like them who that's their thing. As a manifester, oddly enough, I'm 80% rest and 20% like creative drive. And that doesn't mean, she just sleeps all day. No, like I have to take intentional action of, putting my feet in the grass and meditating, and so that I don't burn out. And I didn't understand that at the time, is that I would get around these manifesting generators and I could keep up with their work ethic because I'm a driver. But then afterwards, I'm feeling extremely drained and depleted. So I had to understand my energetic makeup. And it has helped me in school and helped me with the curriculum as well, because now I have the money design where I teach the students how to, and that's in the mindset part. Again, I told you I come up with all these creative things. As I learn more, I incorporate these things into the program, where helping them to identify their specific design so they see that how they're supposed to approach their work. And of course, there's other archetypes like projectors, reflectors, and other things that are in that component where they have their own specific situational things that they're supposed to do. But now I can help them adjust to their zone of genius without burning out. So now, and it has helped me because in my doctoral program, this is the most peace I have ever felt. And it's because I have my regimen of going to my meditation classes and doing my Pilates and making sure that I factor in intentional time of rest, and not just sleeping rest, but intentional time of play and creativity, because then when it's time for me to get down to the wire with the generators and the manifesting generators where we're working and knocking things out, I have the energy and I don't feel depleted once I leave there. So that's the overall encompassment of human design.
Now, someone hearing this, how would they go about figuring out who they are in terms of human design?
Yeah, they can go to myhumandesign.com. Her name is Jo. I know it's something with a J. And she created a site where you're able to put in your information and it pulls up your chart. You can even download the app. I'm not sponsored, but it's just an amazing app because you can do $4.99 a month. And even if you only just want the first month, you get in there, but you can listen, and she breaks down your specific design space and what it is that you, like how you show up. And the different components. And then, of course, you add that in your chat GPTs and see what you can do to, say, hey, I'm a manifester. How would I go about, incorporating this into my life to make my workload a little bit easier and give me and honor more of my energy?
And the human design is more of an energy thing. It's
Yes.
about how because ultimately we all are energy.
Yes.
So I received that. My next question is like, really, what are you passionate about? And I know you're passionate about credit, but so besides credit, what else are you passionate about?
Food.
Okay, so tell me about your favorite foods. Like, what is the thing? Because you pronounced that you're a foodie, so we received that.
It is an entire experience, and it's crazy because it's outside of my norm of things that I talk about. But my honey knows this. I will go to a restaurant and I'll set the vibe, right? And I got my own seasonings in my purse just in case I don't like what they got.
Excuse me. Excuse me. She brings her own seasonings? Okay. All right.
His special blends.
Okay. So you bring your own, because you're going to season the people food if it's bland.
Yeah, absolutely, because y'all ain't going to give me no nasty food, Okay. And I'll put in my headphones sometimes and I'll dance, right? I'll dance and I'll have my food and I'll just eat and I'll chew. But when I'm chewing the food, it becomes an entire experience for me because I'm dancing and I'm vibing. And the food, you have to chew to the beat. It's important.
Whoa.
You have to chew to the beat.
Chew to the beat.
Chew to the beat.
Right. Okay.
It'll keep a lot of acid reflux and people down, I promise.
Okay.
But I will engage in that because it helps me to then ground myself. So I'm big in I guess my passion more so, the root of it stems to spirituality and my feeling of being grounded. So I into the herbs, like I'm a herbalist on the side as well. This is crazy. I do a lot of things.
Okay.
But I have like my herbalist garden, all of my things that just help me feel grounded, and food is probably one of those things that just helps me feel, especially after a bad day. You get you a good old taco with the stuff on top.
What's your favorite food?
Blue crab.
Blue crab.
Blue crab.
You can you like to get in there and pick those crabs?
I like to get in there and pick it.
Okay.
I like fufu. Anything that I can eat with my hands is my thing. I love my hands.
So, okay, with the blue crab, with the blue crabs, right? You're not bringing the seasoning for the blue crabs.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes, because they got the buffets, and the buffets are great. We got the Asian buffet down in Atlanta, and it's great. It's amazing. However, there's a little lacking of the seasoning on top, so I just bring it and sprinkle it on there.
Okay.
That's what we do.
I got
It just enhances the experience. I'm a five senses type of person. I think that's where it really stems from. I'm a very sensory person. So when I'm able to engage in that, I feel present and with the people that I'm, and it kind of creates that environment of love with the people that you're with. So
Okay. In terms of prosperity, what does that mean to you?
that's a good one because it goes back to that experience that you create. There's abundance all around you. And a lot of times we don't sit with the presence of it. So we miss the prosperous moments that we have. We're complaining about what isn't happening or what's not going right, or, just different situational things that we experience in this condition, in the conditioned environments. And we miss out on the minor abundances that lead to major abundances. So when it comes to prosperity, it's all around you because at one point you wished for something that you have currently. So showing gratitude for it and being grateful for those things really opens doors for more levels of prosperity. It's all around you.
So, do you have like a gratitude journal?
Yes.
Okay.
I have gratitude journal. Hilarious enough, as a human design person of manifester, it really kind of breaks down the different chakras. And mine is where I have the best
Excuse me, I'm
of
sorry.
it is my throat chakra. So I have a verbal journal as well. I like my audio journals where I get to kind of just speak what it is that I'm feeling and then convert it if need be. So I have my audio journals and I have my physical journals.
As being a manifester, so say that there's something in your life that you want. Like, is there a process you have in terms of manifesting things in your life?
Absolutely. And for anyone who is going to be getting into human design, your favorite prompt with ChatGPT and when you're integrating all of these things in your life is to identify how you specifically manifest according to your energy. But for me specifically, my strategy of manifesting is informing. So I have to inform, and I didn't realize this, and this is when manifesting really changed for me.
Okay.
Is when I started informing how things were going to go or what it is that I needed or what it is that I wanted. I'm like, oh, I want to go do this. And then the experience pops up that helped me. Because at first I would say, oh, I want to do this and then try to force my way into it. And I didn't allow it to come to me. I was working out of design. I was working out of frustration and bitterness versus when I started saying, oh, I want this. And then going and moving into another task. Or it would be great to have this. Oh, it would be wonderful to have this. I would then say that, inform, that this is what I want, and then go do something else. Go do something fun that feels hard.
Detach from the result.
Yes, detach from the result. And the minute that I started doing that, I saw everything start to change and work in my favor. Also, affirmations are better than affirmations. So there's this one video on YouTube where it's like, she asked, isn't it wonderful that I have this amazing relationship? Isn't it wonderful? Why am I so confident? And, because then you, instead of having to try to convince your mind by saying an affirmation, you then do an affirmation, which allows you to make your brain think, well, why am I so confident? And then it shows you reasons and ways of why you are confident and why you should be more confident. So I like the affirmations. That was definitely a game changer as well.
When I hear you speak about affirmations in terms of that, the thought is that people don't realize when you ask, the universe will answer. It is its responsibility to answer.
Yep.
Right? It's not that you won't get an answer. And as you start to get more in tune with it, the answers start to come quicker.
Yep.
Right? So
good or bad.
Exactly. But they come. If you ask the question,
Right.
They come.
Right.
In terms of informing, give me an example of when that happened for you. Can you recall one?
Yes, I will say that for this morning. I was like, well, I want a window seat. And the window, I don't pay for seats on flights. I just think that is absurd. Give me a random seat. Just give me a random seat. And I was like, I want a window seat, and got a window seat. I was flying home to see my mom the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, I hope I get into a line where I don't have to take off my shoes and I don't have to take my iPad out my bag," because I had on these boots and they were just real tight, and I'm just like, I'm just ready to get there. And if anybody knows about Atlanta Airport, oh God,
Got it.
ugh. So I ended up going in a line, and at first I was wondering, I'm like, why am I in this one? Because it's the one on the side where they have the dog and it's the hot room, and I'm like, why am I in this one? They were like, keep your shoes on and everything in the bag. I was like, okay.
I love that. I love that.
So just having that, and then saying the affirmation, this is one affirmation that I will always say, is everything is always working out for me. I listen to Abraham Hicks, and saying that everything is always working out for me, oh my goodness, it always shows you evidence of things working out for you. So those are some things that I've informed. And again, that's my personal strategy. Anyone who's going to look into the human design space, look at, and it'll show you what your strategy is. Depending on whatever your archetype is, if you're a manifesting generator, yours may be a little bit different. But as a manifestor archetype, mine is informing. So I have to inform. And at first I would keep things a secret because I'm like, I don't want anyone to mess it up. Well, no one can mess it up unless I give them access to mess it up. If something is ordained for me, it's for me.
Absolutely.
Period. So, yeah.
I received that. How do you approach continuous learning and personal development?
Ooh, I don't stop. I think I know when to stop. And I think that's the problem because... and I don't think you should stop. I think you should always learn things that you're passionate about. It shouldn't just be something that you're learning because someone told you you have to learn it. Learn something that you're passionate about. Of course, we have our systematic things that we need to learn, of course, to make money and manage money, right? But there's a certain format in which you can learn to make things fun for you. So I would say continuous learning is something that's you have to do, especially as an evolving being. You're going to always have things that you're desiring and levels and things that you want to achieve. And that's going to take you from being, sometimes you can't be the same person in that space. So who you are today may not be, in the tools that you have right now may not be the exact tools and person that you need to be to have that goal that you're looking to have. So continuous learning. And I think the continuous learning on self-mastery is the trick to the game. You can bypass talent. You can bypass obstacles, you can bypass the money that you need for things if you focus on self-mastery, because you'll always end up in the right rooms with the right people that have the right opportunities. So self-mastery, life learning is a non-stop game changer.
I receive it. What's next for Crown Financial?
That I'm excited about because we are going to do, and you're hearing it here first.
Oh, amen.
You are hearing it here first. We are doing the Excellent Credit Experiment, where we're going to be taking our curriculum and creating a docu-series with a special university. I can't say whom yet,
okay,
but with a special university is who we'll kick it off with first. And we're going to show them in that process of building their credit scores up as a college student, but making it into a fun docuseries that'll be shown on YouTube TV and other streaming platforms.
Well, excuse me, Miss Crown Financial. Amen. And my final question is there anything that you want to share that I didn't ask you?
I want to share my favorite quote. This was something that I saw. It was a couple years ago after a young man passed, and this was something that he would always say, and it kind of stuck with me. Aspire to inspire before you expire.
Amen.
And that's what I want to share to the folks who are listening as it pertains to them on their self-mastery journey. Your inspiration won't always come from the things that you say. Sometimes it'll just be in the energy that you keep, in the way that you're living authentically to your life, that will help someone else say, dang, I like that person. They're just living authentic, and I want to live more authentic to myself. So I definitely want to share that with the listeners.
Well, thank you. And I always end with the final question. I feel like I'm always sitting here and I'm asking questions. Is there anything that you want to ask me?
Yes.
Other people always say yes.
Yes. Because this was a lot of fun. What inspired you? Like, what was that pivotal moment that inspired you to walk on your spiritual journey to create this amazing space for entrepreneurs and business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs who will be taking on that journey? What was that pivotal moment for you?
This may sound crazy, but I had a vision. A spiritual thought came to me that said, now it's time. I'm like, time for what? Remember, you ask and you shall receive. And things start to pop in my head. Like, I always wanted to be an anchor woman. And then a lot of people would say to me, you know, Tanya, you have a lot of people by the things that you just say. You know what I mean? And you really need to probably do more of that, right? I'm like, you know how you hear those kind of things and they go right over your head. You're like, yeah, okay. Right? And then the thoughts just kept popping in my mind. And then I have a spiritual advisor, and I was talking to my spiritual advisor. I'm just like, oh, absolutely. And the universe is waiting for you, and your tribe is waiting for you, so you need to get to it. And I'm like, yes, okay. And
now it makes sense. It's time.
Yeah. So that's why I'm doing it. But most importantly, I'm doing it is because, and the reason I'm focused on purpose, passion, and prosperity, because I really think that it's imperative that each and every person on this planet align with their purpose, because that's where their joy is, right? And then most importantly, I think, you know, ignite your passion, because passion keeps you moving, right? And from all those point of views, then you have a prosperous life, because now you're living a fulfilled life. You're living in your purpose. You've ignited your passion, and my life is prosperous because I'm not existing anymore. I'm moving. And so that's the goal. And that's why I do this. I always, people say, you know that the saying about, if you want to hide something, put it in a book, right? Well, I say, if you want to hide something, ask somebody to look within. If you ask them to look within, a lot of people look puzzled because they have a blind spot. They've never thought about it, right?
Whew.
So that's the goal. The journey is to help people look within.
I like that. That one stuck with me. That's one of those ones you gotta let marinate. Wow. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, you gonna have a lot of people looking like, oh, is it in there?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And that's the whole point about self-mastery, right? If you don't take the time to know who you are and have the insight to draw out your gifts, then you're living. You're not living. You're just kind of frustrated and existing. And in my mind, that's the worst way to live.
Yes. Absolutely. And I actually have one more question.
Another question now,
absolutely. Now, the tables have turned. Because I like to, because when you tell someone to look inward, a lot of times the first things that they do is they go towards their failures and they feel bad about the failures. And even with my students, I like to change the way that we look at failure, because honestly, you should celebrate failure, because it teaches you something that didn't work and gives you more tools to put in your toolbox for when you'll receive a challenge in the future, or if you have to guide someone else through that same challenge. So my question to you is, what was your favorite failure now that we've looked at it through a different lens?
So for the most part, I've been an entrepreneur, and I've worked for myself probably for the last 30 years. So I don't have a favorite failure. What I look at my life is the decisions that I make. And so there's a movie called The Sliding Door with Gwyneth Paltrow. And I love the movies because they show her life catching the train, and they show her life not catching the train, right? But ultimately, and so there's a storyline about catching the train. There's a storyline about not catching the train, but she ended up at the same spot. So every failure is not really a failure. It's a decision that you made. And that decision is just the next thing, for the next thing, for the next thing. And ultimately, if you do the work, you're going to end up where you need to be. So it may be a rocky road, or maybe a smooth than a rocky road. So I don't have a favorite failure. I have a favorite journey. And that's my day-to-day walk.
I love that. I love that. And I hope your listeners can really revert how they look at failures and take that sentiment in of like, hey, no, this is just a journey, and every single decision counts.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that.
Awesome.
I don't have any more questions.
Are you sure? I mean, okay. I want to thank you.
Absolutely.
It's been a joy. It's been my pleasure.
Absolutely.
All right. And to anyone that's a college graduate and is looking to get that 700 plus score, check out Crown Financials. Tell people where they can reach you.
You can find me on Instagram at I am Brittany Greene. That's BRITTANYGREENE. And don't forget the E, but of course make sure you put the I am in front. That's where you can get the link to my website. We're already in the space of revamping it, but you can get access to the donation space for the upcoming research. You can find our project, our impact project, so you can see the impact that we've made for students across the U.S. thus far. And of course, just stay up to date with all the fun, quirky videos, the docu-series, and all the upcoming things that we'll be having for our students in 2025.
Yes, yes, yes. Amen. Thank you again, Brittany.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's been my pleasure. And again, thank you. Remember to find your journey. Start with your purpose, then your passion, and your prosperous life will be fulfilled. Next time, I'm not sure who I'm going to have. I'm going to think about who I want to have, but I'll let you know. Thanks again, and for looking at Entrepreneur.